Welcome back to another session. We're just gonna get straight back into it since we left off on in the middle of action. But I will give you guys a quick recap on what we did last session. So last session, you all split up for a bit. Harvey, Folly, and Annabelle went to follow Zerui Lee, only to see him post up in a tea house. Harvey and Folly sent Annabelle into the tea house to keep a closer look on Zerui Lee. Meanwhile, Danny went back to Zerui Lee's tavern, where he's staying at, to return the items they stole. Uh, with another kerfuffle with the serving girl and the bartender, Danny was able to return the stolen items and also make their escape with the added bonus of stealing the serving girl's earrings. And then Betty decided to go to the Temple of Death that she visited upon arriving in Amos. There, she spoke with a priestess and learned that the mark on the back of her hand is from the god known as the Hunter. Um, Betty then returned to Annabelle's and did a quick ritual to make an attempt to contact that god, which she did. And after an unusual and kind of creepy conversation, Betty halted the ritual and then chose to go find everyone. And then when you all finally meet up again, you saw Zerui Lee heading into the Spirit of the Dragon, which is like the temple area with a giant pagoda in the center, where like the spiritual branch of the Dragon City governments reside. You all then follow Zerui Lee through the temple grounds and past the boundary of the temple, kind of like at the back of it. There, you're stopped momentarily by a couple of skeletal rats and a trio of humanoid skeletons, of which you quickly dispatch. And then, towards where we ended the session, Folly sees Zerui Lee cast his hold person on them, halting their actions. But in that process, Zerui Lee recognizes Folly, and then Betty runs up and restrains Zerui Lee, and that's kind of where we left off things last session. So, to pick up today, you all are kind of circled around this bound and gagged form of Zerui Lee on the ground. You all are on the neck of this insanely massive dragon that the city rests upon. There are spines kind of jutting out, interspersed along the neck. You can see it's nighttime, so it's pretty dark. Um, Thankfully, there's like a full moon shining, so you guys are able to see things due to the moonlight shining in the sky. Let's see, where should we begin? I mean, Zerui Lee's on the ground, bound and gagged. He's at your mercy. What do you guys want to do next?
So I'll tell you what, there. We've been made, which weren't supposed to happen. Not only have we been made there, he's seen our faces. So now I reckon we're on damage control. Problem is, and I'm like saying all of this like above him so he can hear. Problem is, we don't want to tip our hand there. So if we kill him in a pretty obvious way, and it looks like he's been murdered there, we're gonna tip our hand.
He starts making a lot of sounds when you start talking about murdering him. Through the muffled gag, he's like,
I just kick his head. So here's the thing there. Gotta make it look like an accident. Now this here fellow right here was seen earlier frequenting a drug facility, a drug den. I don't know many drug dens. The drug dens that I've been going to back in my day, and we don't need to talk too much about this. They didn't like have fun beds that you could like go in and like rent out. You kind of just went up to a guy, and his name was like Chad, and he would just sort of sell you some smack. But we could just drug him to death.
we were the only ones who saw him walking into that drug den, and I don't think he's a like normal candidate for hanging out in drug dens. On the other hand, I do have an acid that would dissolve his entire body part, leaving almost no evidence.
Now, that there, right there, that's interesting. If he just goes missing and he doesn't come back. We have snuck into his hotel room a few times there. We could leave a note that says, "Whoever's reading this, I've decided to pursue a career in dance or musical theater."
I don't know. I mean, the guy looks like money to me. We've already blown the contract. Why not cut a body part off here and there, send it back to whoever may care about his douchey ass, and just collect ransom?
He kind of makes some more noise at the mention of cutting off body parts.
Um, Danny, as fun as I think that there would be, um, we have a contract, right? And as soon as you filch on a contract, everybody knows that you're the kind of person there who doesn't follow contracts, and then you're out of work. So I think it would be real fun, but I'll just say, I'll just say this there. I don't think there's any R's in malicious or whatever game you're playing. Is it malicious or malevolent?
Malicious.
Malicious.
There is an I for identity theft.
Are you suggesting we steal his identity?
Yeah, while we're here.
Fantastic.
Well, there's four of us here. We have two options there.
Oh, have I caught up by now?
Yes, you've caught up by now, Harvey. Harvey, you walk.
Yeah.
Yeah, you walk up, and there's obviously a discussion being had, and at your feet you see Zuri Lee bound and gagged, kind of like making muffled groaning or just sounds. They're completely muffled. They're not sensible.
Yeah. So walking up, Harvey is just gonna be like, "Well, I think this is not what we were supposed to do. What happened?"
I'm gonna pull everybody aside. And then I'm just like kind of quietly, I'm gonna say, "Hey, I thought we were like joking about killing him in order to like get information out of him, and this was like a thing that we were all doing together. Betty, do you really want to kill him?"
Well, he's seen our faces there. He can't live.
That's a good point, actually.
This here was supposed to be covert there. I was under the impression from y'all that it sounded like he was going to do something bad there. Some real, and evil is subjective. Most people who are evil think that they're doing a good thing there. But it sounded like he was about to do something that would be pretty antisocial behavior.
Okay, I don't think that is a good point. It does not follow he has seen our faces, so he must die. Don't get me wrong, I'm a huge fan of homicide. I just think that maybe there's something else to be gained here, some kind of information, and at the very least, a little bit of psychological torture before we send him to the other side. And I thought we were all on the same path. I thought we agreed to torture this man until he was a hollowed out husk of a man willing to tell us all his secrets, give us his riches, give us the names of people who could give us their riches, and just go from there. But if we're not on the same page, maybe we need to talk about, what the agenda is going forward.
Danny, you misunderstand me there, Danny. I couldn't care what road he takes to get where he goes. Now, if that road does involve a couple of pit stops along the way there for a little bit of extortion, and maybe we make a monkey's fist out of a rope and we slap him around a little bit there until he tells us what we need to know, that's all fine and good. I'm more worried about the destination. I'm a goal focused person, I've been told. As long as we get to a place where he is, one, dead, and two, nobody knows that we did it, or that anybody tampered and that it wasn't a murder, I'm all good. I'm ready to go for that. That sounds great there.
I think Folly has kind of been just like staring into space, just full panic mode at this point, kind of catatonic. They have fucked up so bad. But when Betty says that, they're like kind of, like they're thinking out loud, like, if no one knows that he's dead, then we haven't broken the contract, right? If he just disappears and we don't know anything about it, then it's fine, right? It's like we came here, we did what we were told, and we didn't fuck up, right? This can be this can be our secret, yeah.
I mean, but isn't the contract to follow him? Won't they expect us to know what happened to him?
Do you want me to here? Let me give you guys just a quick reminder, because you guys would all know this just off the top of your head. Give me 2 seconds.
Are we sure Harvey would? He's
Okay.
a bit of a himbo.
That's fair. But in general, you all would know that you were like tasked with following him without being detected, and finding out what he was doing on Amos. Like those were like the two key pieces of things you're supposed to be doing.
Okay, so if we find out exactly what he was doing, and we can take that back to them, and we can frame it so like he disappeared, after this point, at some point, then yeah, I think you're right, Folly. That it'll be like we never broke the contract.
I just want to reiterate once again, huge fan of homicide. Now, what if instead of that, we bring him back and we explain that we found out what he was going to do and we had to take immediate action to prevent, like, the explosion of the world or whatever happens when you disrupt the barrier between the spirit realm and our realm, And we had to take immediate action. We have him contained. We take him back to the people that hired us, hand him over, maybe extract some information from him on the way, and suddenly we're not people who broke the contract. We're people who can adjust in light of new circumstances in our contracts. We're not, just brainless mercenaries who follow a guy and watch him destroy the planet. No, we're people who take initiative.
That's also a good point.
The problem is we don't know who we're working for. I received an anonymous letter. I assume it has something to do with my patron. Folly avoids saying their god's name out of fear that it will catch Ash's attention. I assume it's something to do with my patron, but I don't know who we're working for directly. There's no one to bring him back to.
Yeah.
Huh.
Folly, you just see Zaruli staring at you as you mention your patron. And yeah.
Ooh,
Wait,
that caught his
He has a
attention.
bag over his head.
Oh, he has a bag over his head. Okay, for sure. Never mind.
His like head like slightly turns.
Yeah, I think it follows his voice. So you see the bag kind of just like shift as if he's moving his head a little bit.
The bag indicates interest.
Okay, what if we broke this thing down into smaller bite-sized goals, and then eventually at the end of the whole thing there, we look and we've built a whole house of homicide brick by brick. First things first, Danny, you had some questions that you wanted to ask this here fellow.
Yeah.
Harvey.
Yeah.
We're on the neck of this here dragon.
Yeah.
I don't want to presume that all dragons have the same city layout. That would be ridiculous. But in your opinion, as the cultural expert in this here particular situation, would you say we're in danger of people running into us here? Would we be better off questioning him back at Annabelle's house there, or would that be too public?
No, this is a pretty private area, right?
Yes, it's a private area. Basically, no one comes up here on a regular basis. However, Harvey also knows it is a criminal offense to be on the neck of the dragon without permission. This is like kind of like a holy area. You're not supposed to go past the temple.
Brief.
Trespassing, loitering. Loitering! Loitering. I already did larceny last week. All right. Well, the day's young.
Brief aside, when we arrived here, we saw like Zeruli kind of like digging at one of the scales on the dragon's neck, right? Can Folly go over there and try to see if he can notice anything?
Yeah, of course. Yes,
sorry.
that's gonna be a move.
Okay, it'd be
It's a basic
discern
move.
realities.
Yeah, it'll be discern realities. I think that's the.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think it'll be discern realities.
Okay. Okay, there we go. Okay, there we go.
Nice.
That's a partial success.
Excellent. So you get to ask one question from the list. Let me describe what you see actually, because there's some things on here that you would just see without having to like assess further. So you walk up to the area that Zuri was kind of like bending down and kneeling in front of, and as you walked up this neck, the scales have almost been like they've been like almost like tiles as you walk up. But when you get to the area that Zuri Lee was kneeling down, it's like bumpy and fleshy, as if there's like a giant scale that's been missing.
Interesting.
Yeah, so that's what you see when you look over there without anything further, and then you go ahead and you do a little bit digging, and so go ahead and ask a question from the list.
Okay, what here is useful or valuable to me?
Yeah, you kind of like look around a little bit further, and like it was maybe just like hidden in the shadow of like one of this like bumpy flesh, but as you like look a little bit closer, you see that there is like a knife and kind of like a large vial laying there on the ground.
Sorry, that was a knife, and what was the other thing?
Sorry, a knife and a vial.
Vial. Okay. Yeah, I think Folly is going to pick both of those up.
Cool. Yeah, you pick up the knife and the vial. The knife has a little bit of blood on it, and the vial is relatively clean, other than from lying on the ground.
Okay.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So we are in a sacred area that it is illegal to even be in.
Yeah.
So what's the penalty for tampering with this area, like we caught Zeruli red-handed doing?
Oh, let's see. You would.
That feels like death.
You would probably. Yeah, I feel like you would definitely know that. Like I don't think you've ever I don't think in the entirety of your life you've ever heard of anyone doing anything like this, but you just like kind of know that like if someone were to do that, they would probably be hanged for doing that. Like just going on here, you know that like just like people have like gone past the temple boundaries, right? Like teenagers, and they usually are sent to jail because they're stupid ass teenagers. But like the thought of tampering with the dragon is like on a next level of bad.
So we could just go to the cops. Like they might give us a slap on the wrist for going out onto the neck, but if it was in service of the dragon, which is what it was, we caught someone tampering with the dragon, so we had no choice but to take action to prevent harm to the dragon.
Or we could also just leave him here and wait for him to be found.
I am vehemently against going to the cops. One, because I'm allergic to pork. And two, because that solves neither of our problems, where he's still seen our faces and we still haven't fulfilled the contract.
But haven't we? We found out what he's doing here and we followed him.
Yeah, but he's seen our faces. So it's either murder or we tell whoever hired us why we didn't murder him.
I think if we like either take him to the authorities or leave him for the authorities, I think the assumption is that they would kill him for us, basically. That he might not have the opportunity to say, "Oh, here are the I saw these other people there."
They're not going to listen. They're not going to give a damn about what he has to say. He was caught tampering on the dragon's neck. That is kind of what I'm going based off here, though.
We're assuming that the goal for the contract of not being seen was more important than the goal of just following this guy and finding out what he's up to. We're assuming that whoever hired us would think that if he noticed us, we should just kill him. It's very possible that whoever hired us cares deeply about this person and is having us follow him just because they're a scorned lover stalking their ex or something. You know, we don't know what they want. There wasn't a fine print in the contract that said, if you are discovered, definitely kill him. We could be making things worse.
Okay.
I think the line about the scorned lover, Folly gets kind of offended and is like, my patron would never send me to do a task so petty.
I don't know. Why don't we ask him?
Okay, so you guys have been deliberating this for a while, and you didn't notice, but he has been writhing on the ground a little bit, and all of a sudden you see a shadow emerge, kind of like shoot out away from him, and it kind of takes a couple steps away from you guys, and it stands up in this like humanoid shape, but it's like a shadowy humanoid form, and he looks at you with these really like malicious empty pits, like they're really even like darker against this shadow, and you can tell that he's grinning at you, and he's like
before he has a chance to speak, I mean, I'm not going to attack. I'm just positioning. I'm pulling out my tower shield and putting myself between the shadow and the rest of the group to the best of my ability.
Perfect. That's excellent. Okay, then I think he sees that, and I think he's just going to attack you, Harvey.
Oh, sick.
Yeah, I think he sees. I think he sees that, and he's going to attack you. And you see him charge at you. What do you do?
I would like to.
He's attacking. So like,
So
yeah,
it's going to be like a defy danger, right?
Yeah, that's what I was kind of like angling towards. I don't think you have time to act. Like you can't attack first. Is basically what I was trying to say.
Yeah, I want to endure.
Okay, you're just gonna take the hit.
Yeah, I want to roll con essentially.
Yeah.
I'm angling for.
Yeah, excellent. Yeah, go ahead and roll con.
Because I don't want to dive out of the way. I want to hold my ground.
Okay.
Devon.
Yeah.
Is this like a creature that looks like it's like made of shadow, or is it like a literal shadow?
Oh.
Like is it an inky black man, or is it like a shadow that is still connected to Zerui's like body?
No. When he's standing like this, he looks more like your first description, more like a form that's made of shadow, like a body that's made of a shadowy substance.
Okay.
But I got an 11.
Okay. On a successful defy danger.
I set out what I do what I set out to do. The threat doesn't come to bear.
Okay, yeah, sure. You you react like perfectly quickly then, drawing up your tower shield, and he goes to attack you, and the danger doesn't come to pass. So I don't think he's gonna deal damage to you, even though he attacked you and you were just kind of like taking it. I feel like he wasn't prepared for basically he wasn't prepared for your solid defense, and so he didn't attack nearly as hard as he needed to. and he kind of like rebounds off of your shield, and you see him kind of like bounce back a little bit, but he's like he's ready to go, and he looks like he means business.
Excellent.
Yeah, but you do have. I mean, all of you now are seeing this. Does anyone want to do anything before he moves to attack again?
I'm gonna try to stab him. This shadow creature.
Sure. Go ahead and make a hack and slash.
Okay. So I got a 5 plus 2, 7 plus 1, 8.
Cool. That is a partial success. So he is going. You'll deal damage to him, and he'll deal damage to you.
Okay.
In an exchange of blues. So go ahead and roll your damage.
Okay. I need to double check because I still have, because I've been holding my weapon on him this, like while he's there. So I still have magic weapon. 10 damage.
10?
Yes.
Damn. You guys are so fucking strong. So you deal 10 damage to him. You get a good solid hit. It feels. Oh, what does it feel like? It doesn't feel like you're hitting flesh, but you feel your knife kind of like sink into something. It's you feel resistance, but it's not like the resistance of flesh. But in return, he's going to deal you. Well, he's going to deal you 2 points of damage, but he's going to do it by, instead of attacking you directly, he kind of like his shadow arm turns into like a spike, like it spikes, and he stabs it into the ground right into your shadow, and you feel the pain, and you take 2 points of damage, ignoring your armor.
Oh, this fucking nerd ignores armor.
Disgusting.
Oh no, Devon.
Yeah. So, let's see.
Is when I asked earlier, is this shadow is in no way connected to Zeruli's shadow.
He is not connected to Zeruli's shadow. That is correct. If you want to, let's see. Would you?
Wait, I have a question.
Yeah.
What time is it?
It's nighttime.
How does he know where my shadow is?
I established that there was moonlight.
Moonlight.
Yeah.
I think there was also multiple scene descriptors of lanterns set about.
I don't think there were any lanterns on the neck. There were definitely
not on the neck.
Not on the neck. I think
I thought I remembered.
there were definitely.
I'm just used to the light pollution because I always live in cities.
Yeah.
And I've never been able to see moonlight at night
without any streetlights. Yeah, no. I did mention lanterns, but those were like in the city, like outside of the temple and in the temple grounds.
Oh, okay.
But once you passed the boundaries of the temple, there were no more lanterns, and you were moving by the side of the moonlight.
You know, and given that the dragons fly so high, moonlight's probably even brighter up here.
Yeah, like you guys are like it's definitely nighttime, but like you guys are able to basically see. The shadows are just like extra dark, right? Like where there's a shadow, it's like pitch black. But in any case, you're gonna see him step into the shadow of a spine that he's near, and he disappears. And you lose sight of him. And then he pops back up as if jumping out of the shadow of Zeruli's prone form, and he cuts the restraints that are on that were restraining Zeruli.
Oh, Absolutely not.
And he rips off the bag, and he's now standing there next to Zeruli.
I would like to conjure my burning brand.
Cool. Yeah. Go for it.
Partial
Solid.
success.
Cool.
7.
You get to choose an additional tag.
Yeah, so we're gonna go ahead, switch it. Oh yeah, it's gonna be near so that it's a flail.
And it can extend really far. Yeah. Excellent.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we see Harvey whip out his flail that's made of flame. What does someone want to do? Anyone can jump in here.
Go for it.
Is there any like wood around us?
Wood?
Mm-hmm.
No, I don't think there's any wood around here.
In that case, I'm just gonna Danny's just gonna take their clothing off and scatter it around us in a circular type motion.
Uh-huh.
And then I would like to use elemental mastery to try to set this all on fire and drive out the shadow.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Yeah. That's tight as hell.
Get up, Danny.
Yeah. Go ahead and cast that. You have to roll to cast that, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Go for that.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that is, I think, a failure.
That is a failure.
Ooh.
Okay. So I think what happens is, okay. Well, I think you take off all your clothes and you scatter them, and then I think the shadow form sees you doing this and attacks you, and he's gonna deal some damage to you. He's gonna come over to you and do what he did to Danny, or not to Danny, to Betty, and stab at your shadow.
Oh, this guy's such a nerd. I hate him.
And he's gonna deal you 3 points of damage, ignoring your armor.
What if my armor is just from when I'm touching the earth?
I'm gonna say it still ignores it.
It's bark skin, so I think it's related to my skin, so it probably would ignore it.
Yeah, I think it's gonna ignore it. That is a good point. Yeah, but yeah, so we'll have it ignore it. So you see, Danny kind of like try to remove their clothes in an attempt to cast some sort of magic, but the shadow form moves faster than they are able to cast their magic and attacks at them.
Yeah.
And you see Danny kind of like bleeding from the shoulder as if they were wounded somehow.
Naked and afraid.
Naked and afraid.
Oh no.
Go for it, Polly.
I still have control of like that giant rat from last session, right? Because after casting Animate Dead on it.
Yeah, I would say so.
Okay. I want to command the rat to attack Zeruli himself, not the shadow guy, but the Zeruli himself.
Ah, nice.
Try to just kind of overpower him and knock him over.
Yeah, for sure.
Make sure he doesn't take off.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Which is, let me figure out. Would that be like a hack and slash?
Yes, it'll be a hack and slash because it'll be hack and slash.
Okay. The rat has a +1 to all stats, so I get to take a +1 for that, which I wouldn't normally have.
Nice.
Sick.
Your rat is attacking Zeruli. So Zeruli, and you got a partial success. So Zeruli is going to attack your rat in an exchange of blows. What does it look like when your rat attacks Zeruli?
I think it's just kind of like it's just kind of pouncing on him. It's not doing anything super fancy. It's just kind of like trying to like knock him over and break his concentration or something.
Okay, cool. Let's see. Your rat.
And I think it's a D6 damage for the rat, right?
It is a d6, and it does also 1 piercing damage, so it will ignore some armor.
Okay.
Oh, Devon,
Yeah.
I don't know if this shadow creature has any armor, but the damage I dealt earlier has 1 piercing.
Oh, okay. How much damage did you deal?
10.
Oh, okay. That was... Okay, so you're going to do 1 more than I gave you. Damn, you did so much damage with that 1 attack, man. Okay. You did 5 damage falling?
Yes.
Or your rat did, technically? Okay, cool. And it does 1 piercing, so it ignores that. Okay. So, okay. Zeruli is not looking too hot. But Zeruli is going to attack the rat in turn. Ooh, and he's going to get a good hit on the rat.
How does he see the rat? Because he still has a bag over his head.
The shadow ripped it off when he undid the binds and ripped off the
Everything, and he took the bag off just like
he,
that.
He's still gagged.
Just like that.
He's still gagged. Zeruli still has to remove the gag, so he can't cast any spells until he does that. But it was like it was a quick flip of his his one arm that's sharp, right, to cut the ropes, and then it was another just movement just to remove the bag. Man, it's not like, was the bag tied?
I tied the gag around the outside of the bag.
Oh, interesting.
I thought. Maybe I'm wrong.
It's
not a big deal. I'm just like, damn, he really got all that off real fucking quick.
Yeah, I mean, I think
He's
okay.
a fast boy.
Yeah, if we wanna like the way it looked, I think it was more like the shadow form cut the ropes of everything, and then like for the next couple of moments, you see Zeruli like struggling out of it, and then the rat like pounces on him right while he's still on the ground, and he's like trying to fight him off. And Zeruli finally gets like a good just a solid punch in the rat's face, and it does.
Does the rat have any armor?
The rat had armor, but no longer has armor.
Okay.
I was doing it since it was like an undead rat, I had given it like a couple of points of armor, and then every time it gets hit, it loses a bit of armor, as if like it's falling apart.
All right. Well, this rat is not looking great.
Yeah, it is. It's definitely hurt.
Yes.
But so Zeruli is on his feet now, and the shadow form attacked Danni. Yeah.
I would like to try to wrap my flame flail around the shadow.
Ooh, that's very good. Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's still gonna be a hack and slash.
I was thinking it would.
Yeah.
I was just giving the flavor.
The flavor of what you're doing. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So go ahead and roll a hack and slash, and see if you successfully do that.
Come on.
Oh, you
9.
do. Okay. Okay. Shit. Okay, so you successfully do that, but since it's a partial success, there's gonna be an exchange of blows somehow. I'm trying to think how this is gonna look, because you did this from your. I feel like you're at least within reach. I don't know if you're near, but like you're kind of at a distance from the shadow form. So I'm trying to think. What tags does your weapon have?
Oh, it has the dangerous tag.
It does.
I didn't remove it.
Okay, then instead of having the shadow form attack you, we'll just have you kind of get hurt from your own weapon. So
that still has to go through my armor.
That will have to go through your armor. Yes. So you wrap your burning flail around the shadow form. Go ahead and roll your damage. solid.
5.
Okay.
Actually, I should have burnt my inspiration for that damage roll.
I didn't need that. I meant this.
This shadow is a problem.
Yeah, he like releases like a really terrible like squeal when you wrap your shadow, not your shadow, your burning brand around him.
I'm glad.
But it seems more like he is terrified of the light rather than it doing a lot of damage to him. And in that process, how much damage do you think your flail does to you, your burning brand? Should that be a D6 or D8?
D8.
All right, I'll just roll.
I would honestly, I'd be comfortable if you wanted to roll a D10.
As
That's the damage I do.
As if your own weapon's attacking you in a way. Yeah.
Yeah.
5 points of damage, but I feel like your armor is okay. So you like do this, and you can feel the heat from your burning brand. Like you know that if you were not wearing all of your armor, that this weapon that you're using would be hurting you. But that's why you wear all your armor, right? Folly. You have the knife and the vial. But there's no way Zeruli would know that because he was bagged. He was his head was covered in a bag.
Correct.
Yeah. Zeruli is going to run over to the spot that he was at before, and is going to go down on his knees, and he's like, as if he's searching around for the tools that you had picked up, Folly.
Can I stop him?
Yeah. Go ahead and make an. Let's see. How do you want to stop him? Like, what does that look like? What are you trying to do?
Yeah, no, I figured that Harvey, best person to deal with the shadow. I'm just gonna take out Zeruli.
Oh shit! Okay, you're gonna kill him.
Yeah.
You're gonna try and kill him.
I mean, out of character.
I mean,
if everybody feels like that's like real fucking dumb, but like in this moment of crisis, it seems like he is related to the shadow in some way and does not seem to be particularly frightened by this shadow. So I would assume that he's being hostile to us, and I'm probably just gonna act in the best interest of the party and just kill him.
I feel like also we've established that like all of like the killing blow damage we do is non-lethal unless you explicitly state it to be so. So you could have it be non-lethal if you do drop him, if you wanted to.
No.
Ha! Sick. Okay. Cool.
Okay.
So you're gonna roll a hack and slash to try and how are you attacking him?
Yeah, I'm gonna roll a hack and slash.
Right. How are you attacking them though? Like, are you using a bow or using a blade?
I'm sprinting at him with my dual wield.
Sick.
And Bleu is sprinting ahead of me, and Bleu, I got a 9. Bleu is gonna grab him by the leg like one of those like defense dogs and
Sure.
like pull him to the ground, and then I'm just gonna go for the back of his neck.
I am so sorry to do this to you. He had cast mirror image.
And cast mirror image?
He cast mirror image. And so Bleu goes to attack Zeruli's form, and for a split second it looks like Bleu has him, and then he just like dissipates, and off in the slight distance you see Zeruli kneeling down at the area that he was kneeling at before, searching for his thing. So he's still there, but I think we're gonna move on for just a split second to see what other people are doing.
I have an idea for something I want to try.
Yeah.
how big are the like scales that we're standing on? Like how big is each individual scale?
I was struggling to figure that out. This dragon is like it's massive, right? Like it has a whole city on its back. So the scales I feel like have to be pretty big.
Okay.
So they're like I don't know. I don't know if you guys have any ideas, but like maybe like I don't know if like a 10 by 10 like ish sized scale sounds appropriate.
Well,
Okay.
the thing, scales are in most animals with scales, they vary in size. They have big ones and small ones, so they can be literally whatever size you think is appropriate. You want to say the ones we're on are 10 by 10? That works. We're in between the bigger 50 by 50 scales.
Oh shit!
Or some
Okay,
shit.
how interesting. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So okay, yeah. I feel like okay, that's a good. Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know that actually. Cool. Yeah, we'll say that they're like 10 by 10 for now, like on the neck, since it's like a little bit skinnier than the body. They're a little bit more like uniform in size. So like maybe they'll range from like 10 by 10 to like 20 by 20.
Okay, cool. This might not be allowed because I'm kind of stretching the language of the spell a little bit. I noticed, I know you said earlier that I think Folly noticed that the shadows seemed afraid of the light from the burning brand earlier. And what I want to do is I want to try to cast light on the scale that the shadow is standing on.
Oh, okay.
I'm not casting on the dragon as a whole, just the one single scale. I know it's
just on the
language
scale.
does say technically an item you touch, but I'm thinking of it as like the individual scale is like a fingernail or like a strand of hair or something.
Yeah. I think that's fine on such like a large creature. Like I don't think you could cast light on the dragon and like have the whole dragon, be a light. So I think it's definitely appropriate that you could touch a single scale. And I think, how about we see what you roll on your? Is it a cantrip or is it a a spell?
I mean, it's a rote, but it's a rote in the sense that like it doesn't count against the number of total spells I have learned. I learn. I still have to cast. I still have to use the move cast a spell. To use
okay, perfect. Then we'll use that move to determine if we'll see if your light spell works or not.
Okay,
or like
I think I
happens.
still have. Okay, I still have -1 ongoing because I still have the rat moving around.
Oh right.
I would like to use one of my inspiration points to give myself advantage.
Perfect.
And let's see, cast a spell.
Ooh, that was a good roll.
That is a 9. That is a partial success.
Okay, so on a partial success, you have to deal with one of those 3 drawbacks. Unwelcome attention. It's a -1 ongoing, just no matter what, until you commune with the deity, or you forget the spell until you commune again.
Okay. Narratively, I'm fine with drawing unwelcome attention.
Okay. Yeah, I think that works. I think that works for the partial success as well. I feel like okay. So I feel like the way this looks is you kind of like run up and you kind of like bend down and touch the scale that the shadow form is standing upon, and it lights up nice and bright, and you hear the shadow form like squeal even more than it was beforehand, and you see its dark malicious eyes kind of like focus on you, and you know that you are its next target. And let's see, what's it gonna do? Okay, so unfortunately you cast, it can't do much because it's restrained, and you cast light like on the floor. So like I don't feel like there's any shadows on the floor that it can use to move like it had in the past. Okay, I feel like it's stuck there until it can get away. So if someone wants to do something, I think you're free to do so. I think if you don't do anything, Zurili is going to stand up and make his next move.
So I'm going to keep wrapping my fiery chain around him and pulling it closer, like and getting closer
Yeah,
until I'm like right on top of him, and then wrap it around the shadow neck and just start strangling him.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Go ahead and roll another hack and slash. That sounds like you're definitely trying to hurt this dude. Solid.
11.
Yeah, you do exactly that. Go ahead and roll your damage, and we'll see how this looks.
Ugh.
Okay.
Once again, I should have used inspiration on my damage. I thought about it before I did this, and then I didn't do it.
It happens. And I mean, a couple of things happen. I feel like you restrain him. You restrain this shadow form more, and it just what you're doing isn't hurting him, but he does not like being near, and so like he doesn't like the light touching him, and it's like freaking him out, and he's like struggling as much as he can. He's like he's trying so hard to get out of his restraints, but perhaps if like the light wasn't light emanating from beneath him, he would be able to do so. But right now he's kind of just stuck as you've wrapped him around or wrapped around him your burning brand, and he's stuck there, immobilized. Yeah. So we'll come back to that in just a second. Zurili is going to be really annoying. Zurili is going to stand up, clearly frustrated that his tools were not where he left them, and he's going to look at you, Betty, and he's going to cast a spell. He casts a spell, and all of a sudden, you see these glowing magical bars kind of like envelop you in a cage. When that happens, you hear Zeruli's voice, and he says to you, Betty, "Leave me alone. You have no idea what you're interfering with."
Can I move my hands through the bars?
No.
Also, can I roll to resist this in any way?
No.
Okay.
This is something that he just does.
He just does. Okay, and I can't pass anything through the bars. Nothing I have can go through them.
I'm going to give you the language. We can have a quick discussion. I'm going to give you the language of the spell. I'm taking it just from the book. It says nothing can get in or out of the cage. So to me, that sounds like it cannot pass through, in or out. But it is just you. Bleu is still free of this cage.
Okay.
And I don't know what Bleu is doing. Whether Bleu is like kind of like worried about you, or Bleu is kind of like staring down Zurili, just waiting for the command to go after them. And then we have Annabelle, who's kind of like taken a step back and is like watching all of this happen behind a spine of the dragon.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Did the bars just go like, or did they like raise up out of the ground?
I feel like it's magic, right? So it's kind of like it's kind of up to how we want to describe it. The way that I was imagining it, you're kind of like, to me, you're in what looks like a bird cage. And the way that I imagined it like appearing, it kind of like the bars kind of like grew up from the ground as if like the bars were like manifesting themselves until they all came to a point at the top.
Okay, because you said I couldn't resist being trapped, but if they are growing out, can I say that as my last action before I'm trapped, I like take my offhand weapon and I throw it at Zeruli before the thing like closes shut?
Yeah, I think we can do that. I feel like that's like that's kind of like what we see before our commercial break is like this cage like forming around Betty, but then like when we come back we see the cage like forming around Betty, and then Betty quickly like reacts and like tries to fling their weapon at Zerui
Okay.
before it completely shuts them out.
All right, I'm making a
So,
call.
so I think
Shot.
that sounds. Oh, you're making a called shot. What are you calling?
I'm gonna try to hit him in the head.
Oh shit. Okay, nice.
I got snake eyes.
Oh no!
I have
Oh,
a +3 to this too.
oh no! So that's like, oh no. Okay,
That's XP. So that's
that is
fine.
an XP. I feel like okay for anyone else who has failed, make sure to mark your XP. I think basically just what happens is you see Betty sees the cage kind of like forming around her, and you react as quickly as possible. The cage just forms a little bit too quickly, and it just rebounds off of the cage, almost like hitting you as it bounces back, um, but not doing any damage to you. I think what happens next is that you see Zeruli look super frustrated. He is missing the tools that he left there. He has no idea where they went, um, and I think Betty, you're close enough to hear him say, "Fine, this will just have to do." And you see him like plunge a fist into this fleshy part of the dragon, and you see like a blood kind of like spray out a little bit, and then he reaches into his robes and he pulls out like a small vial, like the vial that Folly picked up. It was like it looked like more like a graduated cylinder, like it was meant to like contain a decent amount of liquid. The vial that Zuri Lee pulls out now, it's like one of those vials, like it's like the size of when you get your blood drawn at the doctor's. Like it's not that big, right? But it holds like an amount of liquid, um, and Zuri Lee is focused on whatever the fuck he's doing. Uh, Meanwhile, the shadow form is struggling against your restraints, Zach, and it's not. He's strong. You can feel it. This enemy that you're facing, this shadow form, he is like immensely powerful. He's probably one of the strongest foes that you've ever like felt could have felt their strength before, and it's almost intimidating, or it's maybe even a little intimidating. Um,
Fantastic.
yeah, and so
It's not intimidating, it's exhilarating.
It's exhilarating, exactly. You haven't come across an enemy this powerful in a while, or maybe even ever. It's whatever either case. It's been a while, and this enemy is strong, and they are working to get out of their binds, so that they can continue doing whatever it is they're doing.
Hey, I have a question.
Yeah.
How close are we to the edge of the dragon's neck?
That's also a good question. I feel like, again, this thing is massive, right? I feel like you can definitely see the edge, and it might take a bit to get to it. Like by a bit, like you could probably sprint to the edge, and make it there. I feel like it's definitely the edge of the like either edge of the dragon's neck. I feel like you guys are kind of like in the center-ish area of the neck, and it's definitely not like a crazy idea to get to either end of the neck, either side.
How crazy do you think it would be for me to drag this shadow to the edge and throw him off? Because there's no shadows in midair.
There are no shadows in midair. However, there are shadows as you drag him across.
Sure, but if I keep him in my burning brand, that should dissolve shadows before he can touch him.
That is a good point. Yeah, I think that's totally fair.
So yeah, I want to try to do that.
Sure. Okay, so your goal and your intent is to drag the shadow form away and then toss him over the edge of the side of the dragon's neck.
Yep.
Sure. What is going to be the best roll for this? Because this is definitely going to be a roll. I want to say it's like parlay, because you're trying to like manipulate this person, but like not manipulate verbally, right? Like you're not trying to like convince them of something. You're trying to physically move them.
I mean, is it not just a strength defy danger?
Yeah, okay.
I'm trying
Yeah.
to act to move him despite the threat of him.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think defy danger in this case, because he's struggling, right? He's going to be struggling the entire time that you're moving.
Yeah.
So it's definitely like a risk to move him into a more like precarious situation for you.
Yeah. So
Okay.
go with the strength defy danger.
Yeah, I think that's
Okay.
I think that's a good.
I'm
that's
gonna
a good
use
choice.
an inspiration.
Excellent. So go ahead and roll with advantage.
Oh, that was 2 9s. So 9.
9. Excellent. That is a partial success. So we're gonna give you stumble, hesitate, or flinch. I'm gonna give you a worst outcome, a hard bargain, or an ugly choice. I feel like you're successful, right? Like in the end of this, you're successful. You successfully drag this dude, this form, over to the edge, right? Like that is your main goal. But in like in between that action, something happens.
Well, I mean, my burning brand still has fiery. So you could have that heal deal me a bunch of harm.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I want to make the shadow form attack you, because I feel like you had to like you rubbed around your shadow ground enough times to like really like restrain him, and I feel like that made you get close enough for him to like maybe like try and lash out and attack you.
Okay.
So I think he's gonna like kind of like flail what he can as he's restrained, and since he's like a shadow form, like it's not like a human who like can only like move his wrists. Like he's like lashing out with his shadows. And so I think he's gonna just. I think what happens is he just deals some damage to you as you do this. And so let's see how much damage he does. Nice. He does 5 damage, but let me just think for a second. Yeah, no, we'll say that it ignores your armor. I think he was like stabbing at the ground, right? Like as he does, and like he was like stabbing at your feet, and he was just like barely able to like get at like where the shadow of your feet and legs are on the ground. And so as he's like stabbing and like trying to slow you down and stop you, you drag him over to the edge of the dragon, and the way that I'm picturing it, like you like have him like wrapped around your brand, right? And then you just like kind of like kick him basically over the edge, and he like spins like a yo-yo until he like just like flips off and just like tumbles down. And I think the last thing you hear is, "This is not the last time you've seen the shadow of Aster." And then he kind of just fades.
Excellent. I did throw him off with my burning brand, so he is still wrapped in that.
Oh, okay, cool. That's even more like it's literally like a yo-yo, like as if you dropped your yo-yo. He like just like flips, and then your yo-yo just drops with him, and you just kind of like flails with the yo-yo still kind of, or the burning brand still wrapped around him.
Yeah, excellent.
That is hilarious. Okay, let's see. Meanwhile, Danny, was there anything that you wanted to do? You just saw Harvey kind of toss the shadow monster off the edge of the dragon's neck. And I think in the distance you can see Zuru Lee, kind of. I think at this point standing up, with whatever it is he was trying to do, and Betty is in a magical cage. Was there anything that you wanted to do?
Yes, I would like to transform into my rock form.
Yeah. All right. Solid. Go ahead and transform for me.
8.
Cool. That is a partial success. So you get to take 1 hold for your rock form?
I think that's 2. Yeah,
That's 2
10
hold.
plus hold 3.
Hell yeah. Okay, so you get 2 hold. What do you want to do now that you're in your rock form?
Would like to wait. Hold on one second.
Yeah, no worries.
Did we talk about if I get a modifier to strength when in my rock form? Oh, when I use tackle, I get +1 strength. I think that's what I was gonna do.
Yes, with your move. Yes, that's.
I was going to try to tackle the cage that has Betty trapped.
Ooh, okay. Yeah. Go ahead and do that. Go ahead and do a hack and slash on the cage.
Okay. Another 8.
Another 8. Excellent. So that's a partial success on your hack and slash. As you tackle the cage, I feel like you can tell that. I think what happens is when you tackle it, it kind of like flickers a little bit in a way, as if it's close to breaking, and you see. I think what Betty sees is really kind of like wince, as if they're struggling to maintain the spell, and you can tell that it is you don't quite destroy the cage that they're in, that Betty's in, but you can tell that you've definitely weakened the cage, and maybe another tackle or some sort of like dual action between you and Betty could dissipate or end the spell.
Okay. Yeah. Are we still in combat? Wait, it's not turn-based here, is it?
No, it's not turn-based. Yeah, so you can go again.
Okay, so I'm just gonna shout to Betty and be like, "We gotta break this cage together."
Okay. Yeah, understood. I don't know what to do mechanically.
I feel like another hack and slash would do it.
Do you want to aid me?
Yeah, I could aid you. I didn't think I could do anything while I was inside it.
I mean, it's a magical spell, right? But like, I don't know. I feel like magic can always be broken at a certain point. It can only be. It can always gonna be. It can always be. I don't know. Broken with enough force. At a certain point. And also, Zurili is clearly distracted.
Okay. I think what I want to do to aid on my end is I'm gonna give an order to Bleu in like that weird like animal speech that like animals understand that I can speak now. And I'm just gonna try to have Bleu tabletop fucking some Ruli while Danny's trying to help me out.
Oh, hell yeah. Okay, that's perfect. So go ahead and roll your hack and slash, Danny.
Okay.
With the +1 from the aid.
Oh, I forgot. Is that
Oh.
an extra dice or an extra modifier?
It's just a +1 to whatever you rolled.
I didn't roll.
Okay.
I didn't roll for aid or interfere.
Oh
Did I need
shit!
to roll?
Yeah, go ahead and roll for aid or interfere. Sorry.
I thought it was gonna be a separate roll, and they were just gonna like maybe resolve themselves together. I'll roll.
I'm sorry.
I'll roll
I was confused then. I thought you were aiding. I thought your intent was to aid Danny in their attempt to break the cage.
So okay, so here's the thing. We're hitting that weird thing where like the names of moves are like I am trying to help, but do you want me to just roll aid or interfere the move, or can I aid by like doing by like rolling a different move?
Okay, so you were basically trying to command Bleu to do something. You were trying to do a separate move, which would in effect make the roll easier for Danny to break the
Yeah.
spell. What does your command roll do?
I don't actually have
I thought you had.
like,
I thought that was the main thing
or
for.
I guess so. That says when you work with your animal companion, but I don't.
I mean,
I don't.
you commanding your companion, I feel like is working with them, right? Like you were literally like commanding them to do something. So I feel like that falls within that realm of the move.
Okay. So should I just add his ferocity to the roll? Yeah,
Yes.
that's what I would add if I'm attacking the same target.
Yeah. Okay. How about you aid and interfere using Blue's ferocity to your aid or interfere roll, and then if you're successful, Danny will get a bonus to their roll.
11.
Solid. Go ahead and give Danny a +1 to their next roll, and you do not have to worry about any consequences that may come of it. Danny, go ahead and roll your hack and slash, right? Because you're just going to try and tackle this cage again, right?
Yes. Should I roll again or should I use the number from earlier?
You've only rolled one hack and slash roll, right?
I rolled before Jacob aided me. Let me roll again.
Go ahead and roll again. Yeah.
Okay, it's 12.
Oh shit! You tackle this magical cage at the same like a split second after Zeruli is like basically like sideswiped by Bleu. Zeruli tumbles down onto the ground, and you tackle this cage, and it like shatters in this like kind of like almost basically it shatters in like a beautiful sight of like glimmering shards of light until they dissipate, and you successfully freed Betty from their cage. Meanwhile, Zeruli is fending off Bleu to the
Can I
best
do
of.
one thing for Zeruli?
Yeah, go for it.
So, as soon as I'm out, I'm gonna draw the crossbow. I'm gonna say, "Thanks, there, Danny." And I'm gonna make another. I'm gonna make another called shot attack.
Okay, excellent.
Okay, so that is a 13.
Solid. You were doing a volley, right?
I was doing a called shot
Call shot. Nice.
on his arms.
On his arms.
So he takes 8 damage and drops the vial
Fuck.
so that Bleu can grab it.
Were you trying to kill him?
Was I trying to kill him?
Yeah.
That's incidental. My primary goal was to get him to drop the thing. I definitely wasn't pulling any punches, but I was firing at his hand so that like because I want him to drop that thing because I don't want him to like do anything with it.
Yeah.
And if it falls and it shatters, fine. And if it doesn't, I had told Bleu when I gave him that command, I wanted him to try to get that. But if he dies, he dies. I'm not pulling any punches.
Sure. Okay. I was just asking because you do drop him to 0 on his health. So if you want to keep him alive, you could. But it sounds like you weren't really didn't really care if he lived or died. So I feel like what happens is, how many arrows do you think do you just like do one arrow, or do you do a couple?
I think it's just the one, and I like nick this like main artery that like goes through right here,
I was just gonna say.
and he drops it, and it like falls, and like Blue starts nudging it away with his hand, and Zerui's just like oh fuck. Oh,
Yeah,
fuck.
yeah. Zeruli like falls onto his knees and is like trying to like put pressure on the wound, but the blood just like gushes out between his fingers, and he like gets on his knees and he's like, no, and then the frantic energy that he had like kind of like slows down as the blood just like drains from this like main artery, and he like finally like collapses onto the side. And he's like still holding onto his arm as it like kind of like the blood just like pulses out of his arm, and I think that Zeruli dies due to blood loss from your shot, and Blue has the vial in their mouth and kind of like pans over to you.
I tease him and I say, "What did I tell you there about putting strange things in your mouth? Come on, give it to me there." And yeah, I'm just like doing that thing that like weird dads do at a barbecue, like that weird stand where you're just like, I don't know where to be right now, just like over this dead body's corpse, and I'm just like, thanks, and I'm just waiting for everybody to kind of reconverge while I thank Danni profusely for saving me from that bird cage.
Yeah, that's excellent. Yeah, I think.
Sorry, I did a puzzle.
Oh, hell yeah!
It's embarrassing how long it took me to figure that out.
You know, sometimes they take some time, you know?
Yeah, Zach had to give me a hint too, because Zach did it earlier. Anyway.
Yeah, so all the action finally calms down. That shadow form, who I think Harvey heard was called the Shadow of Aster, is gone. For now, seemingly, at least. And then I feel like you guys are circled around Zarui Lee again, but this time he is not making any sound, and it is dead silent, as his form just lays there in a pool of blood. What do you guys want to do?
That's nasty.
Well, I guess that answers the question of whether or not to kill him.
Yep.
Look, I don't feel bad about what I did there, but I know we had some questions. So you each get one question. Don't let anything come out of your mouth unless it's the question you want to ask me. And I am going to try to cast Speak with Dead.
Oh, what? Fuck, that's so good. Okay. Could you please read the language of that spell for me? If you have it.
So it's in terms of determining success or failure, it's just the cleric's cast spell move. So
Okay.
it's the same as Follies.
Yeah, so it's the same as Follies to see if you like successfully cast it, right?
Yeah, I have a -2 right now until I release Magic Weapon. So I'm going to release Magic Weapon, which gives me -1 ongoing from the complication for casting Magic Weapon.
Sure. Why do you have a -1?
Huh?
Why do you have a -1 in general?
Because so normally you have -1 for each spell you have going.
Right.
When I cast Magic Weapon the first time, I got a mixed success, which meant that I had to choose one option, and I chose -1 ongoing.
Right. Okay.
I'm going to.
Can I aid on this?
That's what I was gonna ask. Yeah.
Sick.
Yeah. Do you guys want to like? Yeah, I feel like Folly is familiar with the spell, and so like maybe you guys are like almost like working together in a way. And I think Folly, correct me if I'm wrong, like you basically like kind of like offer your assistance in casting this cleric spell.
Yeah, I think after Betty makes that comment about asking questions, Folly immediately knows what she's trying to do and offers help. What does casting the spell look like for Betty?
I think it's like weirdly primal, and it's like it's not 100%. It is not dissimilar from the way that Folly casts a spell, but it feels to you, a person who's been casting spells for like a long time, like, you know how sometimes like you'll watch a sport and there's someone who's been like doing it for a really long time and they very clearly have the technique, and then there's like another person who has like kind of like a kind of just, they're just relying on whatever natural talent they might have, and so they're going at it completely fucking from like weird angles. So it's all stuff that you would recognize from the way that you do it, but I'm going at it in a completely unorthodox way.
Okay, that makes sense. Cool. I'm gonna go ahead and roll interfere. That was better. That's a 10.
Cool. So go ahead and take a +1 to your cast a spell.
Okay.
Betty.
So that is a 6 + 2 is a mixed success.
Cool. So on a mixed success, I think it's the same for like wizard spells. You get to like choose one of 3. You either put yourself in a weird spot, you take another -1 ongoing, or you forget the spell.
I'm gonna take another -1 ongoing until I can have more downtime to commune. So any other spells in the future will be at like a -2.
A -2. Okay, excellent.
Um,
but otherwise, you get to cast your spell.
Yeah.
Is there
So I'm just gonna
a different amount
sorry?
of? I'm sorry. Is there a different amount of things that you can do on a partial success, or is it just whatever?
It's just
it'll answer. It'll answer 3 questions.
Yeah. So, to reiterate, I said before, I know people had questions. Each of you get 1 question. Don't let anything out of your mouth if it's not the question that you want to ask. But yeah, it will answer any 3 questions you pose to it to the best of its knowledge it had in life and the knowledge it gained in death.
Excellent. Yeah, so I think you cast a spell, and I think what you see, since this is like a recently dead person, you see their eyes open again, but their eyes are now cloudy, as if they're undead, because of their dead body, and I think they just lie there. I don't think they move, but I think they look up at you, and they glare at you first, Betty, and then at you, Folly, and they're waiting for your questions with a kind of malevolent look on their face.
I think the like skull on the back of my hand is like throbbing while I'm just like touching this thing, and then I think behind me, like unbeknownst to me, is like just like the stranger, just like standing in the background behind everyone like a monster in like a horror film.
Yeah, that. Yeah, we have like this scene. No one can see the stranger / the hunter, but they are there, and the form that they take is that of Betty's old commanding officer, and they are watching from behind Betty's shoulder. What is your first question?
I don't know.
No, that's fine. Yeah, no, we're good. The dead have all the time in the world.
Yeah. I think Folly is going to ask a question. That is, what were you trying to do here?
He looks at you, and his eyes kind of narrow, as if annoyed that he has to answer this question. And he goes, "I was trying to collect the blood of Amos."
Who's almost? Do we know that? I didn't say that out loud.
Someone can answer, but Amos is the name of the dragon city that you're on, and also like the name of the dragon. It's one and the same.
Okay.
What? Oh,
You got one? Go ahead.
yeah. What were you planning to do with the blood of Amos?
Oh shit, that's a good question. Zeruli looks at you, Harvey. I think you can tell that he's like pissed that you asked such like a good question in a way. And he's like, this blood will be used in a ritual one day that will allow my god to break the constraints of his curse.
Another cursed god. I'm so sick of cursed gods. They're such losers. You're a god, yet you still got cursed.
Right?
If you're such a god, just don't be cursed. I don't.
Well, they're getting cursed by other gods, you know.
So
Not
that's
like
two...
some guy up the street.
Yeah. It's not some grandma who just like cursed like this god. There might be a little bit more to it. But you guys have one last question for Zeruli.
Devon, what do we know about his expertise?
What Folly has told you in the past is that he used to be a professor at the college that Folly attended. And I believe I said that his expertise was ancient religions, or like religions of the gods of death specifically, which is like what the League of Silent Tongues is kind of all about. But specifically, like, it's kind of like his expertise is like kind of archaic stuff. It's stuff that isn't necessarily popular in today's academia. It's stuff that was more popular a while ago, if that makes sense. So he's a bit of an academic who has knowledge of kind of archaic religious things that have happened, and our archaic history.
Okay.
And I think that's something that Polly would know and be able to share with you.
Okay. I'm gonna ask, what are the steps to perform the most powerful ritual that you are aware of?
Oh, so good question. Give me 1 second. Yeah, I mean, Zeruli turns his clouded eyes towards you, Danny, also with the sense, with a malevolent gleam behind their eye, as if they would love to kill you rather than answer this question. And Zeruli says, the most powerful ritual that I know of was the one that I was working on. The steps are, to perform this ritual, I need the blood of an ancient dragon. I need the spit of a renowned fighter, and I need the light of a waxing crescent moon. When all of these ingredients are combined and the words of the ritual are spoken, the cycle will be broken and the ritual will have been executed.
Cool.
What was the second thing he said?
The spit of a renowned fighter.
Okay.
Oh no.
Of a renowned fighter / champion. Yeah.
That sounds okay.
So blood of a dragon, spit of a renowned fighter / champ, and the light of a waxing crescent moon.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm not sure if I have a bit of an ego, but I think Harvey needs to keep his saliva in his mouth for a while.
Uh-huh.
Did before he dissipates, like, did he say the name of his god? Did we hear it?
Nope. Just a cursed god.
No, I don't think
We did
that you hear.
as
Go ahead, Folly.
as the shadow was falling off of the dragon, he did identify himself as the shadow of Aster.
Well, could we hear that? Or did
Harvey was the only one to hear that.
Okay. So if you guys like are expressing, being like, "Oh, what's the god's name?" I'd probably be like, "Well, I mean, the shadow called himself the Shadow of Aster as he plunged."
I think after all the questions are asked, I think part of like the casting of the spell is because my this god that's following me is kind of nasty.
Yeah.
So I'm like touching his chest and like whispering in the corpse's ear. I think I say something about like your lungs aren't gonna pump air anymore. Like, to be alive without air is to constantly be choking. So I suggest you like answer our questions. And then I say our questions 3, and I look at Folly like, that was pretty wizardly to say our questions 3, right? This creature is like constantly stuck in this corpse is constantly stuck in a state of asphyxiation. So I think it like looks relieved when it like dies again.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. After the final question is answered, he like starts to gasp and he goes. He can't move, right? So he's just like staring there as he like tries to try and suck in his last bit of air that he can, and then he just like and his final breath just like finally leaves him as he exhales his final breath, and he becomes deathly still once again, and we see the god behind Betty's shoulder smirk, and nod, and then kind of like wisp away, as if they were never there.
I stand up. Well, that's finished. One of you guys knows how to light a body on fire with magic. I could do it myself, but we're gonna be here for a while. I don't have a whole lot of materials. I don't have any like lighter fluid. There's not a whole lot of kindling around.
Yeah, if no one has an easy way of doing it, I could try conjuring my burning brand again, just setting it on him. We could alternatively just throw him off the dragon.
I don't want a body.
Okay.
Bodies can be resurrected.
Mm.
And we fought a whole army of undead at that one village.
Yeah.
I mean, Devon.
Yeah.
What is the dragon flying above right now? Like, are we above an ocean or are we above land?
You're above some land.
Okay. Yeah.
I feel like I feel like all 3 of the dragon cities, they all circle the continent. They rarely are over like just blank ocean. They'll fly over a lake or a sea perhaps, but like it's never for very long. They're generally flying over a continent, the continent.
Okay. I mean, I guess in that case, if no one else has any ideas, can I roll to conjure my burning brand.
I look at Danny and I say, Danny, do you have a way to light a body on fire? Oh my gosh, I can see your chinguses. They're just hanging out there. I was so caught up in all this, I didn't realize you were naked. Oh, I'll avert my eyes. And I just look up at the sky. You got a way to light a body on fire quick there?
Yeah. I would like to roll elemental mastery.
Ooh, okay, cool. What are you trying to do with elemental mastery?
Light this body on fire.
Solid. Go ahead and roll that.
Cool.
Actually, before Danny does that, can Folly do something real quick? Not like mechanical, just. Folly has also kind of been crouching down over the body with Betty. A little bit weirded out by the whispering, but you know. And it's gonna. After the body dies again, just quickly go through Zurieli's pockets to see if he had anything else that might be relevant.
That's not a bad thing to do.
Any more vials of blood?
Do you have all your spells? Because I think the only thing that you find of interest to you, Folly, is Zurieli's spellbook.
Okay. Sick.
Spellbook.
I will make a note of that.
But you as you look at the spellbook, you can tell he's a wizard and not a cleric. So I don't know what the difference is, or if you could pick up any of the spells in his spellbook as a cleric.
Well, I am about to level up, and one of the moves that I can take when I level up is multi-class dabbler, which allows me to take a move from another class. I'm gonna poke around with that, but I'm gonna figure out if that would let me gain access to the wizard's spellbook. But
Cool. Yeah,
I think for the time being, Folly's I don't know what any of this is, but yeah, I will hold on to that for the time being. And before Danny lights this body on fire, I still have my old symbol of the divine from when I was a follower of Aster, which is a carved wooden wheel that I kept around my neck, and I'm gonna put it around Zurieli's neck before stepping away and kind of brushing my hands off.
Okay. You see also, I'll add another description. You see that he's also wearing a wooden wheel, very similar to yours. Yeah, okay. That's fine. And so you kind of place it on him, kind of next to his own wooden wheel. And then Danny, you go. I'm sorry?
Does Betty clock that?
Yeah, I don't think Folly's being sneaky about it.
Okay.
And I think as Folly's kind of searching through Zurieli's body, I feel like the pendant that Zurieli was wearing becomes visible. So you would totally see that.
Did you say that he had a vial of blood on him?
He does not. Betty has the only vial of blood that he was able to acquire before his untimely death.
Okay. Yeah, so I got an 8.
Excellent. Which is a partial success.
Yeah. It just gives me one thing. Out of the effect I desire comes to pass, I avoid paying nature's price, and I retain control. I'm going to choose the first one, so...
Okay.
Yeah.
The first one was you the effect comes to pass that you wanted, right? Okay,
yep.
Yeah.
I'm just going to say stand back.
Yeah.
And then just set up a flame.
I think that's perfect. I think I'm not going to have too big of a consequence here for you. I think what happens is you do that, the body catches flame magically, it bursts into flame, and the flames are consuming it. I think with your warning, everyone backs off, and for good reason, because the flames kind of lick out as they kind of it kind of starts to pop off a little bit dangerously, and you guys know that if you had been staying there, the flames would have been licking you as well, and would have been causing you harm. But with Danny's warning, you all back away far enough where it doesn't really do you any harm. And you watch as Zuri Lee is consumed by this fire in this weird funeral pyre that you guys have executed. And I don't know if you want to stay for the entirety of the burning of this corpse, because I feel like if I'm not incorrect, it takes like hours for a body to fully incinerate, even at high temperatures.
Yeah, I'm gonna stick around because I'm gonna take a little sack of his ashes home with me, because there's a old dragonback superstition that if you snort the ashes of your enemies before battle, you'll go in with vigor.
Nasty.
Excellent. Okay. So are you all going to stay?
Yeah, I would just like to take a little bit of like some kind of raw meat out of my bag and roast it over the fire, and I'm gonna put my clothes back on.
Okay, that sounds fair. Yeah. Okay.
Can we call this a rest? Sorry, I interrupted you.
No, that's fine. Yeah, I think you guys. I do think that this is a resting moment. I think it's like the middle. It's like the dead of night, right? When you guys first got past beyond the temple grounds, it was like night had just fallen, right? The sun had just set, and after all of this finally went down, and after you wrapped everything up, I feel like it was like maybe 1 or 2 a.m. And then so I think for like the next like 4 hours, you kind of just sit there watching Zurili's body burn. And so I think you guys all have a moment to rest. In which case, you can level up if that is where you guys are at. By the time we can get there, but like when Zurili's like finally like turned to ash, and all that's left of him are some like burning embers of his ashen corpse. It's dawn is like just barely breaking. I don't know if you guys have been like up early enough or like stayed up late enough, but it's like at that moment where like this you can't see the sun, but you can like tell that like it's starting to like brighten as the sun is like getting closer to the horizon. So it's still like super dark, and the moon is still out, but you can tell that like the light from the sun is starting to become ambient in the sky.
I'm so sorry. I know you've been asked this question like 4 times in the last 2 weeks. Level up is 7 plus our level, right?
That is correct. So
Yes,
I
hit it exactly.
Oh, that's excellent. Yeah. So as soon as you meet it, that is when you level up.
And we can choose between adding 1 to one of our skill modifiers, to one of our skill scores, or taking a new move.
No, you get to do 1 point in a not the modifier, but in the actual skill, right? So you get to add 1 point to the skill and also choose an advanced move.
Yes. Okay. If a skill score goes up to 17, does that raise the modifier?
So what's it at now?
16.
No, it goes up again at 18.
Oh man. So what's 17? What's the modifier?
17 is a +2.
+2, yeah.
Okay.
I have another question, Devon.
Yeah.
If we're taking a rest, do we heal any HP?
Yeah, let me just check real quick. I have it like right here.
Heal damage equal to half your max HP.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's called the recover move. When you do nothing but rest and comfort and safety for a while, you recover all your HP. But that's after a day of rest. This is like a night of rest.
Well, it says make camp when you settle and rest and consume a ration.
Yeah.
If you're somewhere dangerous, decide the watch orders. If you have enough XP, you can level up.
Yep.
when you wake, at least a few uninterrupted hours of sleep.
Heal
Well, I
damage.
guess I didn't sleep. We didn't get time to sleep, so I guess I'm still fucked.
No, I feel like you guys are making camp. So go ahead and take the make camp action, whether or not you slept. I feel like that you should go ahead and heal heal damage equal to half of your max HP. I feel like that's fair.
Could I say that, like, maybe at some point, Folly would be like flipping through Zeruili's spellbook, and then Danny would just be like lurking over his shoulder, just like looking, and just ask like, "Is there anything about, like, I don't know, like a dangerous ritual in there, something with dragon's blood and the spit of a renowned fighter and the light of a waxing, waning, waxing
I think
crescent
Folly's
moon?"
been like looking through kind of some of the spells at the beginning of the spell book, like what's like the low level stuff. But then after Danny says this, flips all the way to the end and starts like looking through the really advanced stuff. I don't know. I mean, I don't think a ritual like that would be in a spell book necessarily, but you know, like Folly's like going through like the index and like looking under like, okay, here's all the spells that mention moon, and it's oh, maybe this one is it, and just it doesn't really get anything done. But
do you think it would be worthwhile to like search his room again, or should we like go to the university and search his study or something like that? What do you guys think?
I'm going to give this one to you real quick, Danny. You searched the room pretty thoroughly, and you've been in there like a couple of times, right? Zeruili did not bring a lot of things. It was pretty sparse. So it is unlikely that he had something as important as such a kind of like taboo or unconventional ritual that he brought with him.
Okay, yeah, I'm gonna be like, guys, I don't want to side quest us here, but could we stop by his study at the university maybe before leaving the city?
The university is in the city?
Sorry. He only taught classes at the university. He didn't have a study here. He has a study down in Antara, which is like your kind of like home city, but not on the Dragon City.
Okay, sweet, even better.
maybe something to do in a future downtime.
Yeah, so when you guys get like back to the main city, if that's where you guys end up going, obviously, you could, if that's what you want to do, you could definitely check that out. But yeah, how many of you were able to level up during this rest session? Oh, solid. Okay. Did you want to tell me what you guys leveled up?
I'm gonna wait until I put my point in charisma so that I'm at a zero now in charisma.
Oh, hell yeah.
But I'm gonna wait until I can like actually sleep to like explain the new move I took.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I put my point in dexterity.
Solid.
So it's now a +3.
Fuck, it's a
at an
+3?
18.
Jesus Christ. Okay.
And then I took bloodthirsty. So I deal an extra 1d8 damage.
Damn, dude. Damn. Okay.
Instead of a 1d4? It doesn't explicitly say if it's instead of, but I'm pretty sure it replaces
Okay.
Merciless.
I'll look into it. That sounds right. But that sounds crazy.
I mean, yeah, on the
also.
character sheet, there really isn't an option for a third damage dice.
Yeah, because you do your main damage dice and then you usually add whatever bonus. Yeah.
Yeah, so he's a lot better at combat now.
Yeah, Harvey's quite bloodthirsty. Folly, what did you go with?
Yeah, I took a +1 to wisdom, so I now have a +3 in wisdom, which is good for casting spells. Speaking of which, I feel like I should probably discuss whether this is like allowed mechanically. So The move I was going to take was Multi-Class Dabbler, which
Sure.
just says, get one move from another class, treat your level as one lower for choosing the move. Could I take the Wizard playbook starting move Spellbook, which is basically the move that allows wizards to cast spells? I would be treating it as if I was a level 5 spellcaster, and I would have to figure out whether I would. I don't know. I'm not sure how the math works out there in terms of like how many spells I have like memorized at one time. But would that be allowed?
I think so. I feel like that's super cool, and I feel like that makes like a lot of like organic sense with what just happened. What level are you guys? Like the number, like
6.
6.
I'm level 6 now. Yes.
Okay, excellent. Perfect. Yeah. So you would be casting spells as if you're a level 5 wizard. It sounds like, right?
Gotcha. Yeah.
Okay. And I think that like you'll always be like one level below what it is. So like when you become 7, you'll be like a level 6 wizard ish.
For sure. Okay. That.
And so I'll let you since you have, you know, like this is a very like nebulous game, right? So like since you have Zeruli's book, spell book, you'll be able to cast spells up to whatever like a level 5 wizard would be able to cast up to. So I'll let you know in a minute what spells those are, because I have them, but I don't know what level they are off the top of my head.
Okay, cool. Yeah, if you just want to, I don't know, send those to me afterwards as well. That's fine.
Okay, yeah, I'll probably send you a Discord message, just so you have it. Cool. And then not Folly, Jesus. Danni, what did you go with?
I added a point to wisdom so that next time I can raise my modifier.
Nice.
And for my new move, would you say that the sun is coming up at this point?
The sun, yeah, I feel like the sun is like just eking over the horizon. You guys are like so high up, right? Like so, like you can kind of like see it as it starts to brighten the day.
Okay, cool. So I think at that point, Danny's gonna look up and be like, "Looks like thunder," and then today is gonna be thundering all day, Devon.
What? That's cool. God,
Hell yeah.
damn, that's cool. Okay, yeah. So the sun, you guys like see the sun rise up, but then, clouds, these big billowing dark clouds, appear seemingly out of nowhere, and they quickly consume the dragon, and all of you are plunged into like this weird darkness as you like kind of like it gets like a little bit lighter so that you can see, but like it's still dark, you know, as the sun is covered from these dark clouds, and you hear this large crash of thunder as it rumbles through the sky and it vibrates in your chest, and it starts raining.
Hell yeah. There's definitely moves that were more practically useful, but this one is just pure wish fulfillment.
That's super cool. Who doesn't like it when it's super thundery and rainy? Cool. So all of you basically level up right now. Well, you could tell it was dawn until the thunderclouds rolled in. And I feel like as it starts to rain, it kind of like spits out. You hear like a sizzling of the ashes that used to be Zerui Lee, and you see you see kind of like the ash start to like run away in rivulets down the scales, and all that's left are these kind of like ashy bones that weren't able to fully turn into weren't able to fully disintegrate, as is like expected from, you know, when you burn a body. And what do you guys want to do next? You guys are now on the neck of this dragon. It is dawn. You know that the city will be waking up in an hour, perhaps, probably. Um, you also know that where you are right now is a crime to be. Um, what do you guys want to do
Well,
next?
Well, I want to gather all the ashes and bones.
Yeah, sure. You go and scramble up, and you're able to collect some ashes before they're washed away by the rain that starts to fall down.
And then all the bones,
and
no bones left behind.
All the bones. Okay, yeah.
That's evidence.
I mean, yeah, that's basically a full skeleton that you're carrying at this point. Do you have a pack, right? That you probably brought with you. Yeah. It's
A lot of those bones would have like cracked and broken too.
Yeah, some of the smaller ones, like the ones like in the hands or the feet, would have disintegrated. But like the bigger ones, like the femur or whatever the shin bone is called, and some of the ribs, and definitely the skull are still intact for the most part.
Yeah, I'm gonna shove all those into my pack.
Can I? Danny's gonna ask if they can keep the skull.
Do you really want it?
Not if you have plans for it.
I was gonna spend some time once we got back into a city, like trying to wrap it around the ball of my flail.
Oh, that's dope. Okay, could I keep some of the rib bones?
Oh yeah, for sure.
I just want to make a little headpiece for myself.
Oh, actually, Danny, you can have the skull. It would be a better headpiece, and I feel like trying to put it on my flail might just break it. So you can have the skull.
Then he's gonna be like, "Yeah, cool, whatever," and then like wipe a couple tears away.
Yeah.
Betty insists that everybody gets the fuck out of there before we all get arrested.
Yeah, let's go. Let's get out of here.
Real briefly, speaking of evidence, Zuri did do some damage to that kind of part of the dragon he was trying to cut into, right?
He did do some damage, but by the time the morning is, it's kind of like scabbed over, and you kind of like realize that like when you see like the place where he like kind of punched his fist into the flesh of this dragon, that like this is like almost like a permanent scab that this dragon has, as if like the scale just never grew back, and like the place that where like Zuri punched his fist into is a little bit fresher, but like everything around it is still like it's kind of just like a big scab.
Okay. And it sounds like that scab was there to begin with. Okay, I would like to just use my 5 free points of healing per day to kind of heal that one slightly more raw spot a little bit more, so it's less obvious someone just just attacked him.
That's kind of nice. Yeah.
Yeah, it's evidence.
Yeah, you see you see the scab. I don't know, like if you ever like picked out a scab and like a new scab kind of like forms next to like a kind of older piece of scab, but like it basically kind of just like basically you make it look like it's just like the scab, like it's like everything else it is around it. And so I feel like you just successfully covered you cover up the evidence that anything was tampered with on the neck of this dragon.
Okay, neat. Yep, and then I'm gonna follow the other 3 out of there.
I think Annabelle is gonna fall next to you, Folly.
Oh my god, I forgot Annabelle was here.
Yeah, Annabelle has been here this whole time. She's been in a little bit of shock. I think this is the first time she's ever seen anyone be killed before.
Oh man.
And we were so casual.
Yeah, and you guys acted as if it was like nothing, right? And so Annabelle was like, we like kind of like flash back for a second, and we just see like Annabelle like had almost like hyperventilating this whole time as you like we're just like sitting around this fire as if it was nothing, and we see Daniel just like roasting whatever like dragon meat or whatever meat that they had.
Yeah, I would like to just say I feel like roasting meat over a burning human is like cannibalism light.
It's definitely
It's
strange. It is not.
on a list
Yeah.
on a
It-
list of things that are upsetting. It's there.
It is
I
up
was-
I'm
there.
not a human. I'm a
It's a halfling.
halfling
Yeah, Danny's a halfling, so it's okay.
I was gonna say earlier, but I didn't want to derail anything. At some point during the night when we're all standing around the fire, I just sort of put a hand on Danny's shoulder and go, "Well, I don't know if it counts as a crime, but roasting meat over the body of your fallen enemy sure is irreverent." Walk away and I chuckle to myself.
Fuck. That's perfect. Yeah.
Mhm.
So in any case, you guys start to walk away. You guys realize you all need to get out of there. I think Annabelle falls in next to Folly. I feel like it took Annabelle a lot of time to process all of this, and I feel like she knows that Harvey. This is like what Harvey does, and so like it's not necessarily great for her to ask Harvey or like to like maybe empathize with Harvey in this way. And I feel like Betty and Danny have been like maybe a little aloof as far as Betty is concerned. Like Betty hasn't been with you guys this whole time. Like Betty kind of goes off and does her own thing, and Danny, no offense to Danny, of course, but Danny is a little strange. And so
Rude.
and so Folly seems to be like the most normal person to her of your party, and Annabelle goes, "That is that what you guys have you done this before, Folly? Like, how do you deal with this?"
I think Folly, I think they're kind of, I think, I don't know if we're just kind of like sneaking through the temple at this point, but Folly kind of continues walking forward for like a few steps and asks, are you at all religious, Annabelle? Do you pray? Do you have any? I know you elves have your dragons, but do you consider yourself a religious person?
I don't consider myself a religious person. I, like many elves, our deity is what we live on. Our deity is physical. Our deity is our dragons. We often, many of us don't even worry about the existence of other gods. The dragons are what we believe in, and they are what sustains us.
Folly just nods and, well, I don't want to sound culturally insensitive, but you can't understand what it's like to be given to live separate from your gods all your life, to spend all your life praying and reading about your gods, and then to be told directly that they have a mission for you. It's very easy to rearrange your conscience when you have a mission. It is from it's very easy to change what you think of as right and wrong when you know that you're doing something for a greater good. I mean, I have my faith. Betty has something. Danny, I'm not really sure what's going on with Danny, and just Harvey is a fighter, but I'm doing what I'm doing because I have been told by my god that it is what I have to do, and it's that makes everything easy.
Annabelle contemplates your words, and she's silent for a moment, as she kind of like mulls over what you said, and then she goes, "Do you think your god is right?"
think Folly is like about to answer immediately, and then kind of stops with like their mouth like open, and then says, "Well, of course my god is right. Of course." Doesn't seem to entirely. It seems to be trying to sound more confident than he actually is.
Cool. Yeah. I think your confidence comes across to Annabelle, and I think she smiles to herself, and she's like, okay. I'm glad that you feel that way. I don't know.
I have some religious materials I could loan you if you ever wanted to read more about it.
I think I would appreciate that. And then she pauses for a second, and she goes, I don't know what I would do if I believed that the dragons weren't right. If the dragons were working against us in some way. And I think we're going to end that scene there. And I think, let's see, we still have some time. I think you guys make it past the temple grounds pretty easily. I think you make it there before like the temple starts to become active, and I think you maybe see like a guard or two kind of like doing like their patrol, but like it's like early in the morning and they've clearly been awake for way longer than they like to be, and they're kind of like they're definitely very sleepy, and so it's very easy for you to slip past them without their notice, and you make it out of the temple grounds, and you are now within the city proper. Is your intention to go back to the tavern that you've been staying at?
I mean, we were staying in Annabelle's apartment, right?
Oh, that's right. Most of you were staying at the apartment, right?
We were like drinking and carousing at the tavern, right?
Yeah, you were just drinking and carousing, but then most of you, everyone besides Betty went to Annabelle's apartment because Betty went to has been staying out all night. But I feel like you all go to Annabelle's dorm room, and I feel like after this kind of like stressful night, you all pass out, and you all sleep kind of like you obviously can tell me if I'm wrong, but I feel like you all kind of get there, and like all of your stress kind of like dissipates for a second, and you are able to relax finally, feeling like you accomplished your mission / your contract.
Not Betty.
Yeah.
Oh, not Betty?
No, I think at the when we were all sitting around the campfire for a while, I think she like looked up at one point and her uncle was just like sitting across from her at the campfire, and she just said like, so she's still like haunted. I think like while she was staring at it, she said, what do you want?
I have a quick question for you, Betty.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think you're talking to your uncle or to the god that you've been trying to get into contact with?
I know it's this. It's not moving the way that my uncle moved.
Okay, yeah. So you can tell, even though like it looks like your uncle, and even though it sounds like your uncle, you can tell that it's not your uncle. It is not. You are not speaking with the spirit of your uncle. You're speaking to someone who's taking the form and the body of your uncle. What was the question you asked?
What do you want?
I want you to keep doing what you're doing, Betty. I don't want you to doubt yourself. You are a natural born hunter. You don't need to concern yourself with whether someone should live or die. You know that instinctually. And you should trust those instincts. And I trust those instincts. And I want to foster those instincts.
Okay. So that sounds definitely too similar to like some shit her like uncle would have said. So I think she's having like a real nasty nightmare back at Annabelle's.
Oh no! Oh no! Okay, yeah. Yeah, we see like this conversation between Betty and her uncle, as if they're like talking across a campfire, and then we see Betty like wake up in a sweat, and Betty had been asleep in Annabelle's for an hour or two.
Oh no, that was back at when we were burning what's his face.
Okay, yeah. Okay, I see. As you were saying, yeah. So you have this
Yeah.
conversation, and then you finally leave, and then you get back to Annabelle's, and you have a restless sleep. You're sweaty. You're tossing and turning. It is not a good. It's not very restful for you.
No.
If anyone has anything else they want to do before they kind of like turn in like for the night, like at this point it's like it's the daytime. You all are very tired. You all stayed up right until the dawn of the next day. You all are very tired. You accomplished your goal. You're in a safe place, and I feel like you would all pass out for the rest of the day. But if anyone has anything else they'd like to do before they kind of fall asleep, please let me know.
I
No.
think in order to take advantage of their newly acquired power, Danny is gonna like before passing out, just like climb up onto the roof of Annabelle's building.
Yeah.
They can so that they can wake up under the sun and control the weather for the next day.
That's dope. Yeah. So you all fall asleep to the sound of thunder and the rain kind of pitter pattering against the windows and the building. And we see Danny kind of crawl out onto the roof of the dorm building. We see them fall asleep as they are pelted with the rain and fall asleep to the sound of thunder that they seemingly created. And we're going to end the session here. And we're going to pick up
Alright.
with what you guys want to do next section.
Okay.
Yeah, not a cliffhanger, but I feel like we kind of ended this arc in a way.
At a nice point.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So let's do
100%.
let's do our end of session stuff.
This is Danny with their new headpiece.
Oh, nice! Oh, that's so good.
You're so nasty.
That's needed.
Danny's like,
I love the little like rat hands. That's
yeah, me too. Danny's so brutal. So good.
We love Danny. Just a little guy.
Just a little guy.
Just a little guy.
End of session. Let us go over everyone's alignment real quick, so we don't forget. Harvey, what is your alignment?
Defeat a worthy foe.
Ooh, I feel like you hit that this session. You may not have killed him, but I feel like you defeated him.
Yeah, he definitely got defeated.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
So go ahead and take a point of XP. Folly, what is your alignment?
Alignment is neutral. Prove myself worthy of Ash's blessing.
Ooh.
Seems that way.
I feel like you hit that. I know it wasn't like super obvious, but I feel like you know what? Actually, I feel like you solidly hit this because you gave up your Wheel of Aster. You took off that pendant that you've been keeping hanging around your neck, and you've kind of like foregone the old god that you used to worship.
Oh yeah, that is definitely more symbolic than I meant it to be.
Yeah, no, that's super good. So go ahead and take a point for that. And then Danny, what is your alignment?
Disregard social norms and make someone uncomfortable.
Again, I feel like you did that again. I feel
Sweet.
like solid, easy peasy. And then Betty, what is your alignment?
Stuck to or enforced a contract.
Oh no.
No, I mean, again, I feel like you hit this specifically because you all spent so long in the beginning um, deliberating how you wanted to execute the end of your contract, and I feel like even though that Betty you killed Zaruli, you still were able to learn of what he was doing there, which I feel like is an important part of the contract that you decided to take on.
Yeah.
But you can correct me if you feel otherwise.
No, I feel good about. I felt like I was trying to enforce the contract as I understood it for the
Okay.
whole thing.
Okay, good. I felt like you were too. Well, that was my point. Was I felt like you were upholding the contract that you accepted.
Yeah. Any confusion about the actual writing of the contract is the fault of whoever wrote it for using imprecise language.
Yeah, exactly. Like they did not mention a scenario where you confronted the person and they died. They literally just said they wanted information and you got that information.
We sure did.
Okay, excellent. And then, do any of you feel like your bonds with anyone have been resolved? Explored, they're no longer relevant, or for any reason you feel like they need to be changed?
I don't think so. Oh, actually, I feel like Harvey is learning how to follow Betty's lead.
I also feel like I resolved something with Harvey because I was thinking to myself when we got into the thing with Zaruli in the shadow, I was about to be like, you should go after the shadow and I'll go after Zaruli. And we were already doing that. I didn't have to say anything. So we're already on the same page.
Yeah.
Okay, I think that makes sense. I feel like
I don't know what I'm gonna change it to though.
That's fine. I think if you could like think of, if you guys could both think of something new that you want to change it to for either of you, for both of you, I think that would be good because I feel like that's a good point. I feel like you guys trusted each other in this battle like very well, and that you're now like you're beyond like trying to figure out how to work with each other, and you're now like working with each other very well. And there might be something new beyond this that you need to figure out how to figure out with each other.
Yeah. I just wrote down Harvey knows what they're doing. I can trust them in dangerous situations.
Okay.
So
that's
until he proves me wrong, that's how I feel about Harvey.
Cool. I think that's pretty good.
Yeah. I think I might update both my bond with Betty and my bond with Danni.
Oh, cool.
Potentially. My current bond with Danni is I'm working on converting Danni to my faith. I'm thinking of changing it to something to the effect of in the past, I've underestimated Danni and their abilities. I will no longer make this mistake.
Oh, I like that.
Maybe still workshopping that, but I don't know. Danny's done some cool stuff recently, and I think Folly is respecting that Danni is not, I think, interested in religion.
I feel like you've recognized that, and also at the same time, like you're also Folly's also in a way struggling with their own faith. Yep. And so like trying to convert them to their own faith is like seems almost like disingenuous since you yourself, Folly, don't know exactly what that means. And so like trusting Danni on their own merits seems like a really cool way of like accepting them. As
okay, cool. I might tweak the wording of that. My current bond with Betty is Betty and I have been called to the same purpose. We must trust one another. And I was thinking of changing it to something to the effect of what should I write down? I thought Betty and I shared a god, or I thought Betty and I shared a faith and a purpose. Sorry, I thought I was frozen for a sec. I thought Betty and I shared a faith. I was wrong. I must learn more about her and her god.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay, I like that a lot. You've like recognized that Betty has a different deity in a way.
Yeah.
Okay, I like that a lot.
We have the same bond. Because mine was Folly and I have the same god. I must learn from them. And then it switched to Folly and I do not have the same god. But I still learn from them.
Yeah, it did take Folly a little bit longer to get there, but
That's perfect. Okay.
I think like something to that effect makes sense. Cool.
God, that's so good. Okay, your guys' bonds are so good. Okay, so that was bonds. I feel like you all were pretty successful in your roles, so I don't think anyone forgot to mark any XP for their failures. Alignment, and then I guess we'll go into the normal XP triggers, which are: did you learn something new and important about the world?
Yes.
I would say so. I think everyone should take a point for that. I feel like you all learned something from speaking with Zeruli.
Yeah.
Did you all overcome a notable monster or enemy?
I think so.
I would say so as well. I think you all should take an XP for that one.
We killed it.
Yeah, you killed Zeruli, and Harvey fucking defeated the Shadow of Aster, which was definitely causing you some trouble, at least in the sense that like you were having trouble killing them. And then the last one is normal. I feel like we it's normally did you all loot a memorable treasure? But I think last session we discussed that we were going to change it to something regarding NPCs. And I think the language that I was going to use was, did you all interact with a new NPC? Or no, did you all interact with an NPC in a meaningful way? Or did you change a relationship with an NPC that you've been working with?
I mean, I would say we interacted with Zeruli Lee in a very meaningful way.
Yeah, I feel like you all interacted with either Zeruli Lee or the Shadow of Aster in a very meaningful way.
Yeah.
I also want to give big shout outs to Folly for having a deep theological discussion with Annabelle about the inherent problems with worshiping a god that is not present in your everyday life.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
good. Yeah,
that's true.
So I think all of you should take an XP for that. And then we'll do not our XP triggers, our inspiration triggers. Who was our workhorse for this session?
Harvey.
That's what I was gonna say too.
Yeah.
I do deal with the chaff.
Yeah, Harvey fucking took care of the Shadow of Aster.
I said, can negate armor? Stay away from my bouncing babies.
Yeah, you like recognized the threat and were like, okay, we gotta like get rid of this guy as quickly as possible. Yeah, so go ahead and take that inspiration, Harvey.
All right.
Who was our role player for this session?
Oh, it was so Folly.
Yeah. Seconded.
Yeah, like
Hurted.
Cool. Folly, go ahead and take that inspiration. And then who triggered fuck it, that was cool?
Danny for saving me from a spell with sheer force of will.
and
Yeah.
also for that reveal of controlling the weather.
Oh fuck, that was cool.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, so Danny, go ahead and take that point of inspiration.
All right.
Awesome.
See y'all next week.
Thanks, you guys.
Good night.
Have a good
Have a
night.
good night.